problem when it comes to trying to quit alcohol. But unfortunately, nobody talks about it. They talk about going to meetings, stopping drinking, only drink this time, only do this, go to therapy and get your life right, and you won't need to drink anymore, or maybe you'll be able to moderate your drinking. But there are a couple major problems when it comes to quitting alcohol. And we're going to talk about those today because a lot of them are based on lies. We believe lies about certain things that cause us to keep drinking. There is a lie that ruminates around in my brain, and I'll be 10 years sober in, I don't know, a couple of days here, I think it is. And even today, sometimes they ruminate. I've had a really rough week, and yeah, the thought of drinking does cross your mind. How do we fight that? 10 years sober, how do I fight that thought to drink when everything goes seemingly wrong, and that seems like it could be a good option? This is a little hint of what the major problem is when it comes to stopping drinking. And we're going to talk about that today. So Terry, how you doing?
I'm doing all right. My week's been okay.
All right.
Yeah. There, the thumbnail. Let me talk about thumbnail because it talks about the big lie, and on the, so now everybody's going to be different here, and I'm going to give away the big lie and give away the problem right away because there's more to each one of these things. And for me, what the big lie was is that alcohol makes everything better, and I thought it did. And this has quite a bit to do with the comment that El Noble Nuevo Leon had mentioned, and that he gets a lot of anxiety at the end of the week, or I guess it's the beginning of the following week, however you want to look at it. And for me, I had the same thing. I was a chef at a big hotel. We had a lot of big executives come through there. We had a lot of stress. I would have that same anxiety going in. Okay, I got this huge meal tomorrow. It has to go right. Is everybody going to do the job that they need to do? That sort of thing. And I'd have this immense stress, and I thought that drinking was going to help it. And for me, because I was chemically dependent, I would be able to have that one or two drinks. I see that you mentioned that maybe you had a couple of light beers to just take the off basically. And for me, I wasn't able to stop it too. I'd drink a ton, and then the next day I'd even be less productive. Another thing that a lot of people do is they drink because they're stressed, or they drink because they're happy, or celebrating, or whatever it is. And for me, all that would do, like let's say I had a big issue that was happening in my life, and I'd drink so that I could forget about it. But really, what did that do? Drinking to forget about it, all that would do is push it down the road and make that problem come back later. Usually it came back worse, so I had even more trouble with it. And that was a big issue for me. As far as a big problem, and what is the biggest problem in quitting alcohol? Well, I think for most people, it's starting drinking again. And what's the underlying issue with that? And for me, and what I see with a lot of people that I work with, what the biggest problem that I see is and I was one of these, is we think we got this. We get sober, we got this. This time's going to be different. I hear that all the time. I'm going to really get into the steps this time, or I'm really going to do what it takes to not drink. And that's a big problem, is thinking that we got this. Because for me, at least, and now everybody's going to be different, but for me at least, um, if I have a drink, I know I'm going to start drinking again in excess. It's going to take me no time. I've proved it to myself. I had some time sober. I took one drink. There are just things clanking around in the background. Uh, I took that one drink, and I was right back at it. I was actually drinking more than what I was drinking than before when I quit, and that was a big issue for me, is that I got this because I thought I had this. I had gone through rehab. I had done some steps. I was doing all the right things. I was going to meetings. I thought I was doing all the right things. But what I hadn't changed was I hadn't changed my thought process. I was still doing the same old thing. I thought I could, I didn't need help. I mean, that's the way most of us, when we're drinking, are, and we realize that we have a problem. We think we can stop this stuff on our own, and so that was me. I didn't think I needed help to stay stopped, but I did. I didn't need I didn't need anything. I could do it all on my own. And that just kept me in that same thought process. And the problem is that I'm chemically dependent on alcohol. Now, do I need alcohol right now? No. But if I drink, it's gonna trigger those things inside my brain, and I'm gonna obsess over it. Will I become physically addicted that second? Maybe not. But that obsession is gonna keep just digging at me ever so slightly, and I'm going to eventually want to take that big drink, and then I'm going to go full blast, and that's what's going to happen with me. And I saw one comment, bionic loaf. I just had to repeat this one because you were guessing that the big lie is that the fun times are over after you quit. And I don't know. Hey, there might be some truth to that for some people. For me, that's not at all the case. I will be honest, in the beginning, yeah, I didn't have a lot of fun times those first few months because I had to concentrate on sobriety. I did have some fun times because I was hanging out with people that weren't drinking, and they were taking me to do activities that didn't involve alcohol. And that's what I was able to do. I started getting back into walking my dog every day, which I wasn't doing when I was in those last few months of drinking. And I was hiking and cycling. And for me, exercise was a real good answer for me. Some people don't have that luxury of being able to do all the things that I was able to do. But that's what I found that worked for me. And that's what you have to do, is you have to find what's going to work for you when you first get sober. There's a lot of people in this world that don't drink, that were never alcoholics or that were alcoholics, and they have lots of fun. I enjoy my life. I enjoy what I do. I enjoy the sober life. I'm able to do just about everything that I did before when I was drinking. In fact, I do more than what I was doing when I was in the depths of alcoholism. I sat at home and I drank and watched bad TV, and took care of the minimum stuff I needed to do. Now I'm able to do a lot more. I don't sit at home and suffer with my depression that I want to do this and I want to do that, but I can't because I want to drink and I don't want to get busted or whatever. And I have a lot of freedom now, and there's a lot of happiness that comes with that freedom, and that's what's happened with me, is that I get to have a ton of fun, and that's it for me. Um, Wanted to see what.
Yes. We got a little echo from you because I completely screwed up some things here. Hopefully you guys can hear me.
Everything around.
Oh yeah, if you didn't hear, so I got up to get coffee. I forgot I had a mic on, and the mic wire tripped over the coffee, spilled it all over the electronics over here. Luckily, we're still live. And yeah, so when your day's going rough and, just spill some coffee. It'll make it worse, which is great. So there we go. But yeah, you think about this, and it's like, I think about what my thought process and what my life was like when I drank. It's night and day.
Yeah.
Like, had that been years ago, because I used to do webinars while I was drinking. They weren't live streams, thank God. They were just webinars and teleseminars. But thinking about how that would have been, I probably would have thrown my coffee cup out the window. I probably would have broken more things than broke, instead of just getting a towel, cleaning it up, and continuing on with the show. It's good to be very calm with things, and even when you do get excited about things, they're not like they used to be, which is big, right? You understand more, you're more calculated, you're more stoic, as it were. And I think that lie that I believed when I was drinking, the biggest problem of quitting alcohol was that I believed alcohol helped I believed it was making me a better person. I believe it slowed down my brain. I thought it made me more productive. I mean, really, it's like back in the day. I don't know if you remember this, Terry, but back in the Olympics, they were talking to the snowboarders, and they were like, pot is a performance-enhancing drug. And I'm sitting there thinking, like, okay, I have partaken, and I never, like, did better at sports. Maybe, yeah, I don't know. Maybe you're better at tennis because everything slows down. But it's definitely not a performance-enhancing type thing. And alcohol is the same thing. We think that it is helping us with our depression, but it's actually causing our depression. We think that it's helping us be more funny and more outgoing, but it's actually making these things worse. And while you think that maybe alcohol does help in a certain situation where you might have anxiety, what's happening is it's lowering the threshold of anxiety for you, which means next time you're going to have more. And when you quit, you're going to be a nervous wreck. And these are lies. It's like a Jerry Springer show. That was a lie, right? You should know. You watch the bad TV. And that is, ladies and gentlemen.
That one.
Yeah. Okay, so that's probably going into like the very bad TV. Yeah. Looking at it in terms of, I am a much better, more rounded person that handles situations so much better now that I'm sober. But if you would have told me that when I was drinking, I would not have believed you. I would have said, you're crazy. This is helping. This is the only thing that's helping me. And you don't understand. And lucky, back then, I didn't have someone who understood. I had some people in rehab who partially got it. I would say that our rehab was very AA, by the book. They did talk about chemical dependency, which is very helpful for our rehab. But overall, there was no one that really got it. There was one that got close, but not like here where it's like, hey, we both dealt with this and we're willing to share openly with everyone what happened and how it felt and what we thought and what life was like then and what life is like now. Looking at that, you start to understand, hey, wait a minute, maybe I'm not as different as I thought. And I remember the first time I went in rehab, I thought I was different. I remember the first time I saw Terry. He was coming out of the Detox, and I was like, wow, that's an interesting person. I don't know if I'd ever hang out with him outside of rehab. Ended up being a really good friend of mine years later, which is great. And it goes to show that the thoughts that you have when you're drinking really hinder you, and the people that you think are your friends, maybe you're kind of tweaked by alcohol. Just maybe. And one of the things that really helped me when getting sober was the fact that when I realized alcohol had bested me, like this thing kicked my ass, I'm now in a mental hospital, and I don't know what's going to happen. At that time, I had sold my house drunk. We did not procure a new place to live that was secure. We thought we did, but I was drunk, so, everything was with a grain of salt. And so I felt like, wow, my business is failing. I literally made us, in my mind, without home. And now I'm in a mental hospital. And I thought to myself, maybe, just maybe, everything I thought about life could possibly be wrong. Because if this is the best I got, maybe something's wrong. Maybe everything I believed was not what I thought it was. And that shift for me was everything. Because it slapped me on my ass in a way to say, you know what? You don't make the world spin. When you're gone, the world's going to spin just as fast. Maybe even a little faster. Maybe you're not the be-all, end-all when it comes to business. Maybe you don't know everything when it comes to psychology. Maybe, just maybe, you are full of shit. And I had to really come to grips with that because I was on my high horse of thinking I knew everything and I had all the answers. And then I had to realize, well, there are some things I do know. I know a little bit about business. I know a little bit about getting sober. I know what it's like. Unfortunately, the lessons I learned weren't from oh, my years of studying and wisdom. It was because I was kicked in the dirt and I had to find a new way to live. And alcohol lied to me at every turn, saying, well, I'll make it better. I'll make you that person you thought you were. Smart, powerful, with everything together. But I had to look at that and say, everything together with alcohol was a house of cards. Someone sneezes and it's over. Over. And now I realize that everything's still a house of cards. But I know that. I know that it's a house of cards now. I know that my feelings are fallible. I know that my memories are fallible. If you study memory, one of the most interesting things is the human memory. We think we remember things exactly as they are. But, you know, I've gone through court cases that were very close to my family, and you realize that things that you remember aren't always what you think they are. And we have to submit, like I did at that mental hospital, where I said, you know what? Maybe, just maybe, in some weird turn of events, the great Wizard of Marcus is wrong. I was like, shit, I'm wrong. What else could I be wrong about? And now I know I'm wrong. And now I know what alcohol does. Makes me believe all the lie that I believed. Instead of saying, hey, I see this. I used to get excited. Back in the day, if Terry, with his San Francisco views on politics, would have came and talked to me, we would have gotten in a rumble. Because I knew that Republican was the way to be. I knew it. And now I don't know nothing. I know that Republicans have a few good ideas, like maybe a few. Democrats have a few ideas. And everyone's fighting about their few ideas instead of looking at the big picture. And what getting sober did for me is it made me look at the big picture. And I had to say, wait a minute. We have to look at how this affects X, Y, and Z as a whole. Because you might say, yeah, do this, you'll get more jobs. But what does that actually mean? How does that actually pan out? What's it affect? Oh, no, Marcus, you don't understand. It's all about big business. Amazon provides a bunch of jobs. They should get everything. Well, they also took away a bunch of jobs. But they don't tell you that on TV. You know, and you have to look at both sides of the coin of everything and understand that there was a Bible verse years ago that says we see through a glass dimly. And I think it was talking about like the way we see heavenly things and all stuff like that. I look at that now to say I see through a glass dimly, meaning I am the equivalent of someone who dipped their glasses in a vat of oil and is trying to drive down the highway. Disclaimer, never do this. I remember when I was a kid, my dad used to always rub oil on my glasses just to make me mad. And I would see through the glass dimly. And it would be difficult. And, you know, if I had said, no, there's no oil, I see everything clear, that's what it's like living, drinking. You think you see everything clear, but you don't. You have no idea. You think you know what's going on, but you don't. Because you can't even see chemical dependency. I was watching a show the other day. I think it was a comedian. It was a comedian who was talking about his time in rehab. And it was kind of sour. It was like, bro, I don't know if this is funny. Like there's certain things, but like, you know, being addicted to drugs is not funny. Being addicted to alcohol is not funny. People thought I was funny, but it wasn't funny. It was miserable. It's the worst time of my life, hands down. And looking at that, you know, he was talking about all these things and interventions. And he was joking about how the intervention worked. And, you know, I've seen a lot of intervention shows and they talk about getting sober and everything dear to you and blah, 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 which doesn't really get to the core of the problem. In my thoughts, are there mental problems? Are there addictive personalities? Are there these things? Sure. Yes, absolutely. It's probably why we drank in the first place. I don't know. I'm not a doctor. But once we get chemically dependent, that is the problem. That's it. Because you can't fight mental issues, job issues, spouse issues with a chemical dependency issue. That's like dipping the glasses in a vat of oil, putting them on, putting a blindfold around them, and trying to walk around and saying, you know which way you're going. You don't. You need to take off the blindfold. You need to fix the glasses. Then you need to repair your life. And the biggest problem for me when quitting alcohol was I had the order reversed. I was like, no, bro, I'm walking to the left. It's my shoes. Terry, you don't understand. Bro, this shoe, look, the shoe is beveled on this side. It's making me walk to the left. You don't understand. And he's like, Marcus, bro, you got the glasses, you got the blindfold. And I'm like, Terry, but I'm walking left. Eyes and glasses have nothing to do with walking, it's feet. And he's like, Marcus, you can't see. And I will argue with him to the ends of the earth because I can't see. And I don't know. And I think alcohol is going to help me because I think alcohol is not the problem. Now, when I think about taking a drink, and I say, I want to take a drink, I say, okay, but alcohol is the problem. So if I drink the problem, I'm going to have more of the problem. Plain and simple. I put the blindfold and the glasses back on, I'm going to be running into things. I can go get Nike Air Jordan Shaquille O'Neal shoes. Remember those back in the day? You had like the pump and all this stuff, and you were apparently able to dunk. Still, even with the pump shoes, I can only jump about 4 inches off the ground, which maybe puts me at 5'5" on a good day. But that's not the problem. It's not the shoes. It's not the shoes. It's the real problem of chemical dependency. All right, I will end my rant and let Terry weigh in.
You were doing great. But you're
All
right.
right.
The chemical dependency, for me, that's what it came down to, is I was chemically dependent. And I tried to come up with two. I was trying to live my life with the reverse thought process as well. I thought I did not like my job at the time when I was heavily into my alcoholism. Everybody was against me. It wasn't my fault. It was all their fault. And I thought that I could just quit my job and go do something else. Well, you know what? I did quit my job. I stopped working. Did I go get a different job where I'd enjoy myself? No, not at all. I just didn't work. And that gave me more time to drink and dig deeper into alcoholism. And that was, that was really a low point in my life. And it would have just gotten worse. And I knew I had to quit. And by the way, I wanted to just say congratulations on 43 days, Suzette. That's great. And somebody else, there are some other ones. There's a 5 years somewhere. I'm sorry I don't got your name because you're way up in the comments. Lots of great comments. Appreciate them. But yeah, it was difficult for me. And the not realizing or not really taking that to heart, the fact that I am chemically dependent. The alcohol is the problem. And that's what I have to keep in mind, even to today. I don't have the cravings that I used to have, although maybe the thought might come up. But I do have to realize that alcohol is the problem. And I don't sit there and go when I'm going out and other person wants to have a beer or whatever, and I'm not going to sit there and I'm an alcoholic, I can't drink, you can't drink, nobody can drink. It's not like that anymore. It's just, no thank you. I don't need to drink anymore. Thank you. And alcohol caused so much of the anxiety in my life. I had anxiety, and my anxiety wasn't like, I've seen some of you are talking about the anxiety of maybe work the next day or whatever's coming up in your life. Marcus has talked a lot about that. I didn't have a lot of that. I kind of erased the rest of my life. I got rid of people out of my life. I got rid of all sorts of stuff in my life. So I was just able to isolate at home and drink. So I didn't have much of this outside anxiety. My anxiety was the fact that I knew I had to stop drinking. And I knew that it was not going to be easy. It was going to be painful. And to do that, I was going to have to admit to my loved ones or whatever. They were going to find out that I was drinking too much and I had to stop. And then I was afraid of the fact that they were going to want to make sure I stayed stopped. Was I ready to make that commitment? So there was a lot of fear there. That's where my anxiety came from. And to answer that, I just drink more, even though I knew I was chemically dependent on alcohol. I knew I was an alcoholic. I knew I had to stop. And that's a really difficult thing to get through. And that's tough. And I saw one person, I don't know what happened here on the comments. You were talking about you're still drinking and you need to, you're hoping to get medical detox. And yeah, that's what you need to do. Go to a doctor. They're gonna hook you up, get you into medical detox. Sometimes there's a wait to get into there, but that's by far the safest way to get that alcohol out of your system is through a medical detox. That's what I had to do. So Marcus had to do, and we were able to do it safely. And you know what? After I did medically detox and I went through rehab, I got out. I started drinking again, and I did not medically detox, and it almost did me in. So medical detox is the way to go, definitely. But yeah, Bionic Chef, 5 years sober. Oh, wait, that's Suzette Colombo. You have 5 years sober. Awesome. Wait, there was another Suzette? Is that two Suzettes? Well, congratulations on 5 years. If I
think it's just one.
I apologize. That's great. 5 years is awesome. 1 day sober is awesome. If you can just get that 1 day, because that's all we do. I'm coming up on 10 years. So Marcus is a couple months ahead of me in sobriety because he got out and stayed sober. I did not stay sober. But coming up on 10 years, it's still just that, you know, you've heard it a million times, 1 day at a time, not drinking 1 day at a time. But really, that is all it comes down to, is that it's for me, it's a lot easier to stay sober than to try to get sober. And that's a fact. But yeah, for me, the biggest problem when I was after I had quit alcohol is thinking that I have this, thinking that I got this down. That's why I started drinking again when I got out of rehab. So if you have got some sobriety, you just need to pay attention. And, you know, one of my favorite sayings is alcohol has to be the most important thing in your life without exception. And without alcohol, all those things that you love, like your family, your money, your job, maybe even your life, whatever, you can lose it all when you start drinking. And that's a fact, and that's what I keep in mind for myself, is sobriety is the most important thing. So yeah. You want to talk about the recovery class?
Yeah, let me see if I can find me here. There I am. All right, guys, if you want help getting and staying sober, again, Terry and I are not doctors, trained counselors, rehab people, or anything. We're just two guys who got sober, and we had to. I mean, there was no way out. There was nothing that would help me stop drinking. If I had to do it again, I probably would have needed the exact same thing. I needed to go to the mental hospital, I needed to go to the rehab, and I needed to figure these things out. But even after rehab, as we've seen with Terry, things aren't perfect. Somehow, by a stroke of whatever it was, Terry was able to say, hey, wait a minute, I did relapse after rehab. I need to get back sober. A lot of people aren't that lucky. Most people who go and try to get sober are not successful. The vast majority are not. And I think that once you get sober, obviously if you're trying to get sober and you're detoxing, go to the doctor, go to the rehab, figure out what's going on. It can be very dangerous. Had Terry not gone to a doctor when he was detoxing, we would have no Terry. It is very dangerous. Once you're out of detox and you're dealing with, hey, how do I not pick up again? Because it's hard. I remember after rehab, I was 30 days sober, driving home from rehab, and all I could think about was drinking. Luckily, I had family support, and I had to make it work. There was no anything else. And luckily in rehab, they did drill into our head, it is the drink that is the problem. It is the drink that is the problem. There's nothing other problem other than drinking. And what we did is we compiled the last 20 years experience between the both of us of staying sober into this guide and this course and these videos to help you understand what it's like. Some of it was written early sober, a couple of years. Some of it was written very recently. The videos are spanning the entire 10 years. You can actually document the journey, see what we went through, see the hard parts, the good parts. There's PDFs, there's worksheets, there's different things for you to get through to help you get and stay sober. And as an added bonus, when you join this, it actually helps keep us on the air, or the line, the stream, as it were. So you're helping other people by helping yourself, which is what I believe. We could just set it up and take donations, but I believe that we should give you something of value for what you're doing here. And I think that that's really important, because now, not only that, but you're going to have that added bonus of like, hey, being in this is supporting something I believe in, which is sobriety and helping people with sobriety. And it's going to help you as well, which I think is super important. And all you have to do is go over to talksober.com, click on join the alcohol, or join the online recovery class, right, like this, and you can fill out this form. It's very easy to fill out. You can cancel whenever you want. It's less than $1 a day. Super cheap. Cancel whenever you want. You fill this out and instantly you will get access. I think are we still offering a short welcome call with you when they sign up? So if you sign up and you want to have a welcome call with Terry, just email him or ticket him, or however it works.
I'll reach out to you when you sign up.
He'll reach out to you when you sign up and set up that call. Now, if you just say, hey, you know what, Marcus, Terry, I don't like monthly recurring things, I get it, right? It's not like it used to be back in the day, but you just cancel it if you want. But if you are like, hey, I just want to have a call with you and Terry and talk about sobriety, click on this link here. It's $97 one time. You have a call and we get to know you. You can also join our Facebook group and check out the other stuff we have over for you at talksober.com. Really good course, really good setup. I think it'll help you guys understand the mindset of sobriety, which is important. Where do we go? There we are. All right, so thanks for being here. Again, if you have any other topic ideas or any comments or anything, let us know in the comments section. But that's a very fitting place to put comments, is in the comment section. So awesome stuff. Hop over to talksober.com, and if you have any questions, let us know.